Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, November 29th. We are starting late at 6:30 Central Time and we've got a lot to do and a lot of news, so I don't even know how we're going to pull this out. Honestly, we need Warlock and Demons to overlap, so maybe if we get a Tavern Brawl and can choose our character and play as a Warlock, that will work. Let's see, the Void Singularity, beyond the Void's event horizon, all of the minions become crushed into a single powerful entity of light. Behold a deck, build a deck and sacrifice your minions to the Void. Okay, well, let's see how this works. Demons. Demons. Take some Defile. I'll take Renounce Darkness, just to see what that does to demons. And what it seems like it's saying is that we're going to be playing a very unique character, and that there are different varieties of this unique character. I'm not exactly sure if that's possible that they spent that much time on this. So maybe every player just gets the same unique character. Or maybe there's some other trick to this. There, I'm at 30. Let's brawl and see what happens. We may not even get a classic card pack here. There's a lot of news that I have, which is kind of ironic considering I spent yesterday, part of yesterday at least, listening to the Giant Bombcast, which had both the New Yorker and the California people all together because they're doing Game of the Year. And they had nothing to talk about. They literally played a cell phone game, or I think it's a cell phone game, on their own podcast. They just played a game instead of having anything to discuss. So it's Warlock against Warlock. We'll see what happens here. Like, I wanted to see if what it seems like is going to happen. You are not the boss of me. Job's done. Is going to discard like this card, and then that will make it summon. No. So it just destroys what we have at the end of our turn, which really doesn't do anything for. Put this apple on your head. Oh, I see what it does. Okay. Well, this isn't gonna really solve anything. Do I have to? Oh, it merges together into one thing. So it's just gonna constantly get bigger and bigger. But it doesn't seem like it gets the abilities or anything along that line, so. And it also means that Defile is not really going to have much of a usefulness. Alright, let's start going through the news, because maybe I'll get lucky and all the quests today. Maybe. Why do you fall? This will be interesting to play on the Singularity. The game Rain World has a difficulty changing update that's now in open beta. Rain World was a game that was covered a little bit a few months ago when it came out, if I remember correctly. Let's see if I can. And now it's at 1.51 update, and it's getting difficulty settings, which seems rather ridiculous. It's taken that long.
You're in trouble now.
There we go. Now, for fun, I just want to play this.
Job's done.
But it's not going to do anything. It's still merged together. And that didn't do anything to particularly increase the attack or health. There's a Gamma Sutra article talking about how Visceral's cancelled Star Wars project was too linear in modern taste. This really is probably just hashing out old news at this point, compared to anything else. But there is a question about being too linear. Normally, it wouldn't occur to me to wonder if you can make a game too linear, but I'm playing Rise of the Tomb Raider right now, and except up until like 30 minutes, the game was extremely slow. The last 30 minutes of gameplay, it finally started to open up and give you an open world. So you're about 25% of the way done with the game. Or I am 25% done with Rise of the Tomb Raider, and it was up to that point way too linear. So if you were gonna make a Star Wars game and it was just walk down this hallway, walk down this hallway, walk down this hallway, now walk down this hallway, now walk down this hallway. This time, let's have you walk down this forest path with narrow, invisible walls on either side. I could see the issue there.
Bring victory.
However, that's a level design issue. I mean, it's not something you really have to concern yourself with or be upset about at all. I mean, just hire a different level designer. Changing a hallway, point A to point B level, is rather simple. You just design more area. You just animate and 3D render out a more open world, and you take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even more hallway paths, and then you crisscross those paths on top of each other until you have something that looks more like wheel spokes. And then the center part of the wheel, that's your big open world, and each edge of each spoke is a doorway to another area.
You are not the boss of me.
So it doesn't feel to me like it's a valid reason to cancel the game. And honestly, I don't think that is the reason. I think this is a lot of just revisionist history. EA is also saying that canon is hurting Battlefront 2, which no, the microtransaction drama is hurting it, and it's hurting it bad. I think they've lost like $2 billion in valuation of their stock because of this, because of the microtransaction backlash, and they deserve to lose it. So maybe they will finally get the message now. Atlas has confirmed Shin Megami Tensei. Let me see if I can pronounce that again. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming to Switch this week in the West. So let me just make sure I remember which one Shin Megami Tensei is. It's definitely a big one. I've definitely heard of it, but I think if it's Shin, wouldn't it be monsters? Yeah. Yeah, there are monsters in the trailer. Yeah. This is more anime than I thought it was going to be.
So many possibilities.
Interesting. I was confusing it for a different game. But yeah, Shin Megami Tensei, well, it's probably closer to a Persona style game. If anything. The Cyberpunk 2077 project that CD Projekt Red is making now has an engine done, and there's really not much more I think that we know.
Gul'dan versus
I
Gul'dan.
honestly don't think it's even that far along, because I wouldn't be surprised if they had to do some major changes to their engine. On the other hand, almost guaranteed that whatever engine they made The Witcher 3 with, which I believe was Unreal, was going to be the engine that they were going to make CD Projekt, Cyberpunk 2077 in. So them saying we now know what engine we're in doesn't mean much. Ajit Pai, the supervillain pretending to be this Federal Communications, the FCC chairman, that's a joke, of course, has come out and said social media presents a problem for free and open internet, which is basically to say all the people who are saying they want net neutrality and complaining on social media need to be silenced.
Gul'dan
Let's
versus
see.
Rexa.
If you were going to say social media presents a problem for society's level of knowledge, there's actually an argument that can be made there with all the fake articles that appear on Facebook and on every other service. Then you might have an argument, but to say it's a problem for the internet in specific, you're really just making up things. I don't want to get too much into that. Here's an interesting thing, quote, "We never said anything about discontinuing the title," says Yosuke Matsuda on the future of Deus Ex. "Some titles have to wait their turn." At no point did I think that that Deus Ex was canceled. Now, I did think probably with Deus Ex Mankind Divided wasn't the best received game ever, and it wasn't the best game ever, but at no point did it seem like they weren't going to make another Deus Ex. And I don't even think that Mankind Divided really even ended in a way that specifically would have given you the indication that there wasn't room for more.
I will enjoy watching you die.
There's an interesting thing that came up that most people probably wouldn't be aware of. Tech Syndicate, famous esports person and YouTuber, I believe, I might be wrong about that, was created a device and was selling it called SenPi, S-E-N space P-I. It's supposed to be like a Raspberry Pi, but it's not a Raspberry Pi, and it's not made by Element 14, the company that makes a Raspberry Pi. It's not compatible with the same software in the same configuration. At least you would have to make a different build, and there's almost certainly going to be a lack of support for it. But at the beginning, it was fully equipped with all the software from RetroArch and Libretto, L-A-B-R-E-T-R-O, Libretro, Lib being like free and retro meaning retro games combined. It had all the software pre-built in it. Well, you can't do that because the software is for non-commercial free use only, so they are effectively selling it. And Libretto consistently is complaining and fighting against people basically stealing their copyrighted software or their software that is licensed only for non-commercial use. And so they put out a statement going, here's yet another one. Now this is slightly interesting because it's Tech Syndicate doing this, and almost certainly he didn't think he was going to get caught or that there'd be an issue.
You're in
But
trouble now.
it didn't. He was instantly caught. So they managed to complain to Amazon that was selling the Senpai.
I've got the beast in
And
my stomach.
Amazon pulled it on a copyright grounds claim. And so now they've come back on a statement and saying that now the hardware will be shipping without software, and that's pretty much that. They've dropped the prices. Now it's a do-it-yourself thing, and that means that it's going to be a lot more difficult to get it set up and working. Now there are parts of the Libretto that are copyrighted by different people, so some of them could have been pre-installed, but some of it can't. So it's not just like the entire thing couldn't have been on there. But in the end, I don't think you'd want to get to Senpai until at least a year of good following and support is obvious.
Unleash me.
The thing there is the Raspberry Pi is the perfect emulation device in my opinion, because the Raspberry Pi is also very useful in other projects. There's thousands of projects that use a Raspberry Pi to just use it as a small, cheap computer, or to use it in some other project that has nothing to do with retro games. And as those projects get developed and get worked on, it gets backported is the phrase. The codes, the tweaks, the improvements, the better support from Element 14 as far as the hardware and BIOS layer and kernel things. All of that works together to make a very easy to use device where you don't have to go into it and change a ridiculous amount of configuration files, which is exactly what would happen if on Senpai, is it would almost certainly end up having to do all kinds of configurations and setup, and then you'll eventually very possibly find that there's just a driver missing. There's just no way to configure it to run well. That being said, it is time for a Raspberry Pi 4 or a Raspberry Pi Max series for a slightly more powerful Raspberry Pi replacement in the same form factor. The Senpai was not in the same form factor, so it wouldn't fit in any Raspberry Pi cases. This is interesting. We have 3 of these now, and I got very lucky and That's all I need to do on the Americas account. Wow. Very, very lucky. Let's move over to the European account. Ironically, I've almost finished my own Raspberry Pi RetroPie setup. And the thing that is not working right now is playing small 30-second MP4 videos as a screensaver, as a demo. It's kind of slow from the emulation station overlay launcher. It's kind of slow to launch a game from just by name and see what that game is. So if you don't know what, say, Donkey Kong is, it's helpful to have that video. But even at a like 480p resolution videos at 30 frames per second, even at that, they are it is too few. Like it's not powerful enough, and it overheats. So we're gonna play. Well, let's not play Warlock immediately. Let's do this other one, Paladin. We need to just play a bunch of Paladin cards and get one victory in the process, which we certainly do. So yeah, I'm having to take all of these really low resolution videos and lower them down to basically the lowest MP4 you could possibly make. A 320 by 240 resolution, tiny screen, just so it can play. Now this might just be a configuration issue on my part, because there is a hardware accelerated video player that is supposed to work called OMXP player, that every time I turn it on it doesn't work. So I'm gonna have to do a fresh install anyways, and start sort of over from scratch, but not as big from scratch as possible, really.
Victory or death!
Which, that's fine.
I will fight with honor.
Throughout this project, I've had to reinstall things from scratch multiple times, and that's usually how it works when you're talking a big entire operating system image that you're trying to build. Is because you'll go in directions, you'll install programs, things will just happen, and it will touch that one file, and there's unfortunately not well integrated snapshot features in Linux. There are programs, in fact the newest version of Linux Mint specifically does have a new snapshot feature to try and make it better, but it's still kind of new, and hardly there's nothing at the lowest levels of Linux to make sure you don't change settings, and being so highly configurable that, like Linux, allows you to put in the wrong configuration. Moving on though from that, since the RetroPie project is never gonna have anything really to do with my channel, other than it has certainly inspired me to play and learn about some old games that I've forgotten about or may have never played. Nintendo has a new amiibo in the form of a Kellogg's breakfast cereal box. So it has like an RFID chip in it, but it won't be available in the UK, and it's called Super Mario Cereal, and it looks like it is just the basic cereal stars and marshmallow coin boxes and mushrooms. So you're eating marshmallow mushrooms
Reporting for duty.
Yeah, you're eating mushrooms in the cereal. And then I guess you'd want to keep the box and use it on things like Super Mario Odyssey is what it's focused around. In This Week in Crazy, Star Citizens players can now buy plots of lands for up to $100. That is not intelligent.
I don't have enough mana.
Face the airs of magic.
The land doesn't actually exist yet, though. Interesting. Yeah, I'm still waiting for Star Citizen and I think maybe one or two other games that have been in long-term early access, and Star Citizen, if I'm recalling correctly, has done several very expensive expansions that apparently the fans of the game don't seem to mind about. Not too much of. I suppose I'll mention some sad news. Already fallen off the wall. I managed to step on my brand new cell phone cord that I had bought because I had managed to step on my previous cell phone cord. Let's see.
I'm drop dead gorgeous.
Let's see if this death rattle. Nope. So I'm having to use a sticky cord organizer to try and get it to stay on a wall away from the floor where I keep stepping on the cords, and I keep stepping right on the heads of the cords. And hopefully I can stop doing that and actually let's see. Change the
Follow the rule.
enemy to 1. And I'm trying to play cheap cards, so it's just
For justice.
like I already had the cord organizer on my side table, but it was really still just, it was helping me a little bit, but to not have to bend over directly into the floor and pick up the cord, but it wasn't helping the fact that the cord, since I bought really long micro USB cords, which I just broke a 10-foot cord, I'm gonna have to buy some Adafruit. Adafruit has these now USB connectors specifically for making your own USB cords, and I'm gonna have to buy some of those and cut them into
Reporting for duty. For justice.
new cords, which that should work fine. Now, I guess to go back to the RetroPie thing, I thought, because I had gotten the NES-Pi case, which, honestly, if you're thinking about getting the NES-Pi case for the Raspberry Pi, I would recommend waiting, because the one I got came with a fan that was way too loud, and I thought it was so loud I plugged it in backwards, and then I probably destroyed that fan and can never use it again, if I was to guess. And there are some complaints and issues of the wiring internally using too thin of wires, which causes
Reporting for duty.
field, which causes the Raspberry Pi to have a low power outage. Maybe that was the case, maybe that wasn't the case for me. I also got in the Black Friday sale on Amazon a cheap Raspberry Pi power cord, and I'm wondering if perhaps the power cord is the issue, which it very possibly is.
I wonder.
So, yeah, in two different ways, the things I got for Black Friday related to Raspberry Pi were some kind of duds.
What
I got a case that came with some heat sinks. One of the heat sinks isn't the right size, but whatever, it still works. But I was thinking that maybe those heat sinks had the wrong kind of thermal tape, because there is a fan kit that uses like the wrong kind of thermal tape on it, so it actually heats up the CPU, not cooling it. So you'd have to buy your own thermal tape or go crazy and use thermal paste. And I got a screen with the case that's too difficult to configure to use for Retro Pi, and power cord that seems like it's underpowered, and a case that seems like it has some flaws. The Nest Pi case on its surface also has a power and reset button on the front of it that just are hard power and hard reset, which isn't great. Like, that's not really what we should do. You should have a signal that sends to shut down the computer when you push the power button.
Must I slay you again?
Anyways, I'm talking about the Raspberry
For justice. Reporting for duty.
The light dims, but we fight.
Street Fighter V has a new Colin, K-O-L-I-N costume that lets her cosplay as Elsa from Frozen. Not really. I'm looking at the picture, and it's more of just an ice skating outfit. Like, when I'm looking, they're showing a picture of Elsa and they're showing a picture of Colin, and the outfit is actually quite different. But whatever. I guess that gets them more clickbait views. Destiny was on sale for $26 during Cyber Monday, 50% off on Amazon.com. Of course, that is right in the middle of Destiny 2 being found out to manipulate how you level up, and irritating and a lot of players. And Destiny 2 is not really succeeding greatly anyways. If we're just gonna be honest about it, it's not blowing people away. I think we're gonna have to see Destiny get sent to the back burner for a while, and I'm not sure if they can afford to let that happen.
Reporting for duty.
This is very strange that I guess poisons won't help Jamal. Very strange what's going on here. I started late, but I made it early, which is good. I'm happy with that. See, I still need to play a lot more piled in class cards. Omega Labyrinth Z is coming to the West in spring 2018 from the publisher D3. It's a dungeon crawling roguelike RPG. Let's see. Well, the screenshot of it shows a large busted anime girl with a torn shirt, so it's slightly torn, and it's Peggy 16. And then the next image it shows is a couple of fairies, and now it's showing a whole group of anime girls, each of their busts getting even larger and their shirts exploding. Wow, this is definitely knows what they're selling here. So that's all this is about. Omega Labyrinth Z.
The legions I command.
So
job's done.
It seems like they're even trying to integrate the bust size into the gameplay. Yep. So this is probably not going to be a great game, but it's coming to the West. Does it say what platform it's coming for? The trusty old ones. It is PlayStation 4 and PS Vita. I don't know. In the next year, we may find that the PlayStation 4 becomes this odd field of just a ton of
job's done.
Of Japanese niche games, because it seems like there's a lot coming out. But maybe not.
I got you uncovered!
Let's see. Pay attention to the game a little bit. 1, how much more news there actually is. Final Fantasy 15 in December will add an update to add character swapping. Swap between Noctis, Gladiolus, Promptos, or Ignis. Those are all very extreme names.
Reporting for duty.
Job's done.
Switching between characters probably will add a little bit more fun to the game, but in the end it's a Final Fantasy game. You're either in it or you're not. I was very surprised that to find the RetroPie on a Raspberry Pi 3 plays PlayStation 1 games way better than Nintendo 64 games. So you can go back and play Final Fantasy 7 or 13, whichever is that famous one where the girl dies in. Unfortunately, that game looks like garbage, and you almost certainly would want to play the remaster that they're working on. EA is not giving up on microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront 2. No duh, they never said they were. Quote for us, it's a great learning experience. Yeah, you're learning through the nose. I don't know if that's really saying learning through the nose.
Reporting for duty.
Trying to combine learning and bleeding through the nose as a phrase.
For justice.
at the end of the day, they're so focused around shareholders that they gotta make statements like this. I suppose what they need to do, and I guess this would be a genius move on EA's part, is buy back stocks and go private. And if you were to ruin your own company to devalue the valuation of your own company, to buy back stocks, that would become genius. However, the only way you can pull that off is if you had a massive amount of cash set aside and already approved by the board to buy back stocks, or planned to be approved by the board to buy back stocks. I suppose you could do that. But that might also fall directly under fraud or stock manipulation or insider trading. But if EA went private and didn't have to deal or care about the shareholders' desire for ever more profit, then they could improve their game by not having microtransactions so that to get ever more profit, and then they could make more sales and make more money. So maybe you could just drive away some of the shareholders that don't want to stick with EA. And inherently, that's where the $2 billion in the share value is the day traders, the people who only were going to be with EA or own stock in EA as long as it was making obscene amount of money. You've now managed to convince those people to leave for a while. A game called Omega Quintet for PC has a trailer now. The PC version is out in December. Switch is still. I may have talked about this game already. It's gonna come out in Steam, so. Oh, it's Compile Hearts Omega Quartet. And let's see. Oddly, it has that exact same Omega W sign that I saw in Omega Labyrinth. Which it's not the Omega sign, so I don't know why. Maybe it's an emoji, like a Japanese emoji that's popular right now. This is a bunch of... It's a trailer of a bunch of anime girls who dress up in costume. I think
let the hunt begin.
I
will fight
girls.
With honor.
So it seems like it's an RPG. Yeah, it's actually a 3D RPG game where you're playing as magical girls, turn-based actions. There is one guy in the mix. The menus seem to show a ton of options, particularly costume options are being shown off. And each character has different types of weapons. One has like fans, Japanese fans as blades, one has a gun, one
for justice.
One had a staff.
Job's done.
A bladed stick of some kind. Well, this one doesn't seem like it's particularly lewd, so maybe it will sell better, maybe it will sell worse because of that. Let's see, please. Let's see. There's a game called Blazing Legion Ignition. It has mech fighting. Let's watch this trailer. And, you know, a good mech fighting game I was a few weeks ago, I believe, we could probably do for that. They haven't become really popular again.
Reporting for duty.
For justice.
for
Job's done.
even in Japan. And this looks like you're fighting from the perspective of a cockpit, and frankly, it looks like you're playing in VR. It's coming out in 2018. Let's see what this is coming out for, though, what systems. Because that trailer is slightly interesting. But yeah, I'm getting no actual facts. So. This,
Reporting for duty.
For justice.
Yeah, sadly no details from Rock Paper Shotgun on that one. There was a skateboarding game called Session, SCSSION, that has been successfully crowdfunded, and now the backers are voting to shape the stretch goals. So, pro skater Elliot Sloan wants to influence your opinion. So I don't know if he's part of it, or if he's just trying to change the outcome. Let's see. If I give this guy Wind Fury,
Reporting for duty.
do this, and then do this.
For justice.
Then what was that? Maintain his Wind Fury. No. Interesting. 22 days were left on the clock to accrue over 13,000 pounds, which is about $26,000, which is to say that the game probably was already finished before it was even on. At the moment, backers can vote for board and character customizations, mini ramp skateboarding, and vertical mega ramp with Elliot Sloan, or an additional city. At the time of writing, board and character customization is well in front with 36.2% of the vote. In last place is vertical mega vertical and mega ramps, despite the influence of pro skater Sloan himself. And do this. According to this article, the PC needs a new skateboarding game. And I have a tendency to agree. In the same way we need a new mech game, we need a new skateboarding game.
Get down!
There's an article on Gamasutra about a teen who spent $10,000 on microtransactions. He's warned developers of the risk they pose, so I imagine he wrote an article talking about how horrible trouble he got himself into by spending when he was 13. He's 19 now. Over $10,000 in the past 6 years. I had to get up the nerve to ask for help, to go to a therapist, to lay it out for me. This is what you're doing. This is how you can help yourself. Here are the tools to help you. You don't really expect it to help as much as it does. So this teenager, full-on addict, addicted to his drug of choice, the adrenaline of spending money and purchasing things, and gambling. It's not a very long article, but it is definitely a story that needs to be told. HDMI 2.1 is out, so now 10K gaming at 120 Hz is possible once there's a monitor that can really handle that. I kind of have to wonder though, you probably should wait till you're at least 2 or 3 years into the expansion of HDMI 2.1 to make sure you get good cables that can handle that bandwidth. Well, we've been going a little bit over 45 minutes and I want to break this up, so we're doing great. All I need to do is play 6 more Paladin cards, and then we just need to play a bunch of Warlock cards, and at some point in the process get this Tavern Brawl done, and then we're over to the Asian account, and then we'll be done. I have a lot of tabs still open as far as the news, so there's still a lot to talk about. The only one thing is that it is Wednesday. It would be nice if somebody hopped in the chat, but I'm tired of complaining about people not hopping in the chat or asking questions, and even when people do hop in the chat, half the time all they say is hello, which is appreciated, but it's not really interacting very much. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.